The Big Yellow Book, yes, this one was tabled in the House of Representatives earlier today. It's called the Estimates of Expenditure, and it lays out government's budget for the 2015-2016 fiscal year. So if you're a Jamaica Magazine regular, then you know that the revenue measures for the new financial year are also tabled in the House. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for making it the JIS today. If you hadn't guessed yet, it's budget season, and that means the airwaves will be buzzing with economic terms that may be too technical for some of us. But don't worry, we've got you covered. We're also showing you how easy it is to begin developing your skills through the Heart Trust NTA. Stay tuned.
Are you being promised lots of money, trips overseas, marriage, gifts, and other benefits without strings attached? What of jobs with excellent salaries but require no experience? You could become a victim of human trafficking, modern-day slavery, where you're forced to work or perform sexual favors. Remember, not everything that glitters is gold. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of human trafficking, call 811 or 1-888-PROTECT. Be wise, open your eyes, spot them, stop them. A message brought to you by the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons. Good day, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith, and this is your GIS News for Thursday, February 19. For the first time, government today outlined both its expenditures and revenue measures for the upcoming fiscal year in the first sitting of the new parliamentary year. The 2015-2016 ceremonial opening of Parliament has taken place more than a month before the new fiscal year officially begins on April 1. Finance and Planning Minister Peter Phillips also tabled a budget designed to maintain Jamaica's economic reform program. Watch Jamaica Magazine tomorrow for more on government's fiscal plans for the 2015-2016 financial year. In the meantime, approximately 400 housing solutions will be provided to individuals under the Sugar Transformation Program during the next fiscal year. The announcement was made by Governor General Sir Patrick Allen earlier today as he delivered the annual throne speech to Parliament.
These will be delivered in the 2015-2016 financial year, along with 49 infrastructure projects in Clarendon, St. Thomas, Trelawney, St. Catherine, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland.
Government will also be providing 15,000 land titles to Jamaicans under the Land Administration and Management Program. For the education sector, a Department of School Services is to be established to coordinate activities and improve accountability in schools.
Government will also embark on a rationalization program of the early childhood sector, converting under-resourced basic schools into infant departments of primary schools.
Steps will also be taken to improve access to healthcare services and potable water, especially in rural areas. Meanwhile, government will be taking 3 bills to Parliament in the next legislative year to entrench local government in the Constitution. They are the Local Governance Act, the Local Government Unified Service and Employment Act, and the Local Government Financing and Financial Management Act. Other legislation to be passed in Parliament include the Evidence Amendment Bill and legislation to establish a national database to improve the investigative capacity of law enforcers.
The Criminal Justice Administration Amendment Bill will make provision for sentence reduction on guilty pleas, removing the existing disincentive to pleading guilty to offenses which carry mandatory minimum sentences.
The Jury Amendment Bill will be tabled to reform the jury system, and the Road Traffic Act is expected to help improve safety on the roads. An average 2% economic growth is projected for the Caribbean in 2015. That projection comes from the Caribbean Development Bank (CDB) and follows 1.3% growth for the region in 2014. CDB President Dr. William Smith says last year's growth was due to strong performances in tourism and construction, as well as increases in foreign exchange reserves. He had high praise for Jamaica's marked improvement of 0.8% average growth in 2014, which he said came as a result of the implementation of fiscal policy services and the IMF program. Dr. Smith was speaking in Barbados on Wednesday at a press briefing to discuss the economic performance of CDB borrowing member countries for 2014 and the projections for 2015. And finally, the Traffic and Highway Division of the Jamaica Constabulary Force has stepped up the pace on its road safety techniques and strategies for 2015. That was announced at a recent GIS think tank by Administration Officer at the division, Deputy Superintendent of Police Gary Mackenzie. He said the three-pronged strategy of public education, enforcement and partnership was being employed to reduce road crashes and fatalities. As part of that, pedestrians, the most vulnerable road users, are being urged to exercise more caution on the roads. The police will meanwhile maintain its pressure on motorcyclists to get them compliant with road safety requirements.
For example, there are many motorcyclists that do not have a driver's license to drive motorcycles. What they have is a provisional driver's license that they can get without learning to drive these motorcycles. In addition to that, the motorcycles themselves, some of them are defective.
Up to February 17, DSP Mackenzie said 35 Jamaicans had been killed on the nation's roads. These included 13 pedestrians, 9 motorcyclists, and 5 private motorcar passengers. And that's it for GIS News Today. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
Employers, tired of waiting in long lines at the tax office? Wait no further. Government is making it easier for you to pay taxes. As of January 1, 2015, file your employer's annual returns online. No lines, no hassle. Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ will be implementing the mandatory electronic filing of all employers' annual returns. So get with the program and save time and energy. For more information, call 1-888-TAX-HELP. That's 1-888-829-4357 or visit jamaicatax.gov.jm.
As you heard in our news package, the budget for the 2015-2016 financial year was tabled in Parliament this morning. And if you've been following the updates on Jamaica Magazine, you already know this means the budget debate is just weeks away. During the debate, you'll hear terms like GDP, trade deficit, and macroeconomy. Not exactly everyday phrases. But fret not, the JIS team put together a very simple guide to get you up to speed so you can stay in the know.
So we're in the budget season. During this time, we hear all sorts of big terms like net international reserves and inflation. But what do they mean? Ralston Hyman, a financial analyst, will be here to break down those terms inside Budget 101. Now, let's start with the term budget.
The budget is simply a statement of government income and expenditure. The government in the budget says where it is going to generate its revenues from and how it is going to spend those revenues. Just like a household.
Miscellaneous, 5,000. Lunch, 5,000. Wow, my budget looking good for this month. At least I don't owe nobody.
Well, the government does practically the same thing. This is how the process works. Samantha?
Thanks, Andrea. The budget process begins with a budget call being sent out to all ministries, departments, and agencies of government. Included in this call is a specific figure or what is termed a budget ceiling in which they should operate. Cabinet then decides, based on their programs, if they should get more money. After that, the budget book is prepared and sent to the printing office. The Governor-General then makes his throne speech outlining the government's plan, and usually later in the day, the Finance Minister tables the budget in the lower house. The Standing Finance Committee of Parliament will then meet to query the details or make changes to the budget where necessary. That's followed by the various budget presentations in Parliament. When those have been made, the budget is passed and ministries, agencies and departments begin to receive their monthly allocations. And that's how the process works.
The economy is the process where the country as a whole earns its living and spends its money. The gross domestic product, or GDP, is just a technical definition for the total value of all final goods and services that is produced within the country within a given period of time. 3 months, 6 months, a year.
Then there's this one.
Inflation tells you what is happening to the value of money. As inflation increases, the value of your money decreases because money is a medium of exchange and a standard and a store of value.
So if I hear that inflation is going up by 10%,
it means that prices on average have increased by 10%. So it means that your dollar is buying 10% less this year when compared to last year.
there's also something called GDP deflator, which measures the changes in the overall prices.
The most popular one that we use is the Consumer Price Index, which is based on a basket of goods and services that the typical household uses. It's about 488 items in that basket, and what we do is to measure the changes over a particular period of time, monthly, quarterly, annually. Now there's an international norm which speaks of fiscal deficit of between 3 and 5% of GDP. Once you're spending more than that, it tends to create a problem. Now there's an argument that when the government spends more than it earns, it crowds out the private sector because it has to go to the credit markets to borrow the difference. That drives up interest rates, and that is why, in order to bring interest rates down, keeping the fiscal deficit tight is a very important measure.
Net International Reserves, NIR, as Mr. Hyman puts it, is simply the difference between Jamaica's foreign assets and foreign liabilities.
So the country's net international reserves is from an individual standpoint, like your savings, the reserves that you accumulate as an individual. So if people know that you have reserves, they'll be more willing to give you credit. If we, for example, owe an exporter from overseas, it means that we'll have to pay. When you pay, it reduces your net international reserves. And that is why we always relate the net international reserves to how much weeks imports of goods and services it can buy. Macroeconomics has to do with looking at the total economy, or the economy as a whole, where you look at all the variables: inflation, exchange rate, investments. Microeconomists look at just the firm, micro, or an industry. There are two kinds of capital expenditure that you'll see in the budget. There is capital expenditure that is spending on projects. That is spending on things like roads, bridges, schools, hospitals. Those are things that are designed to improve the future earning capacity of the economy. There are also what is known as capital expenditure, which includes the repayment of debt.
Recurrent expenditures are expenses that always come on the budget, like wages and salaries. Think of it like your utility bills. And with that, we conclude Budget 101. I'm sure you've learned something. I'll give all of you a passing grade. How about an A? Feels good, don't it? I'm Andrea Chisholm. Take care.
Which government organization offers you exceptional customer service? A tax office, police station, hospital, post office, health center, or NIS office? Vote for your favorite public sector organization in the Public Sector Customer Service Competition. Call toll-free 1-888-991-2752. Visit cabinet.gov.jm and follow the instructions. Or drop your entry form at government agencies island-wide. Votes close April 30, 2015. Let your voice be heard.
Having a skill is important if you are to be competitive in the new labour market environment. With that in mind, the Jamaican government is seeking to build human capacity and increase opportunities for more of our young people. It's providing world-class skills training through the Heart Trust National Training Agency. We have more in this feature.
All year-round persons are groomed in skills such as these at the Heart Trust NTA, the institution that's preparing individuals to be the best at what they do and perform at the top of their game as entrepreneurs or working for others.
I know with the help of Heart, you can become a catalyst, an agent of change.
With over 29 training locations across the country, the Heart Trust NTA continues to effectively improve human capital development, providing training in a variety of vocations to anyone seeking to advance his or her career options. And to increase the awareness, the government's national training agency has, over the years, hosted several open days and career fairs. In November 2014, we caught up with them on the St. James Methodist Church ground in Clarendon.
We had a career information session for the students from the high schools, just speaking to them about career development, professionalism in the workplace, and really what is expected of them as they go through life and enter in the job market.
Students and school leavers weren't the only ones targeted.
Those who may have been who may be a little older and think that life is finished for you, I want you to know that Heart Trust is there to help you to create a career path so that you can be involved in community development.
Some of the Heart Trust options: a career in early childhood care development and education, apparel and sewn products, and motor vehicle repairs. The St. James Methodist Church ground in Clarendon was covered with eager students showcasing their skills. These young people are carving a place for themselves in the tourism and hospitality sector. They're not to be outdone by their peers who've mastered commercial food preparation, welding, electrical installation, and information and communications technology.
We have learned so much. We have learned about movie editing. We have learned about conducting interviews, how to video persons. We have learned to make flyers. It's a very interesting course. And it's not just about videoing. You can go into the production, you can do radio, you can work in the radio field, you can do a lot of things with this course.
As the Heart Trust continues to train and send out qualified skilled workers, it is contributing to the development of a productive and competitive workforce, essential for economic growth and job creation.
I urge you, I beg you, I encourage you, I motivate you. Let Heart give you wings with which to fly. Who knows who you will become? Who knows what you will do to affect this country? Who knows where your skill will take you? You could change this country, or you could indeed change the world.
For more information on courses offered by the Heart Trust NTA, log on to their website heart-nta.org or call 929-3410-8.
Longing for flexible work hours? Well, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security is ready to give you just that through its new flexi-time arrangement. This means both you and your employer can arrange the traditional 40-hour work week in a way that best suits your needs and that of the organization to which you are employed. So expect a shorter work week, more family or business time, more jobs through part-time work opportunities, reduced traffic during peak hours, improved customer service due to varied opening hours, reduced absenteeism, and much more. So come on, balance work, balance life with flexi-time.
We want a productive Jamaica. We all are productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, pathway to prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Up next, the facts on flexible work arrangements.
On March 25, 2014, the Employment Flexible Work Arrangements Miscellaneous Provisions Act was tabled in Parliament. It sets out to amend provisions relating to hours and days of work in several pieces of legislation to facilitate the implementation of flexible working arrangements in Jamaica. The end goal? To position the country's labor market to take advantage of investments and other economic opportunities. Flexi work is an alternate arrangement or schedule from the traditional Monday to Friday 9 to 5 working day or week. In principle, it allows individual employees and employers more room to choose when they start and end the workday or even which day of the week to work.
So it could be that a person could be starting at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, or it could be that the hours you work could be 8, it could be 10, it could be 12. Days of the week would no longer have to be just Monday to Friday. You could choose.
But does this mean that everyone will be on a flexi work system once the law is changed?
Flexible work arrangement is not for everybody, and we must emphasize that. So it's not going to be that every company will implement flexible work arrangements. Every company has to assess whether this will work in my particular organization, having regard to what I actually do as a business.
Since flexi work will not suit every organization, you might ask, what if I want to work flexible days and hours and the company I work for is not implementing it?
Well, flexible work arrangements, it's all about negotiation. The employer cannot force the worker to implement flexi work and to work flexi hours. The worker cannot force the employer to implement flexi work. It has to be discussion and agreement between the parties.
And what of those who would seek to implement it without negotiation?
If you choose to vary that contract, the worker can institute proceedings for breach of contract. And the same goes for the employer too if the worker tries to vary it without the agreement. Because right now, persons are under existing contracts of employment, which sets out their terms and their days of rest.
When the bill is passed, the Ministry of Labor will be monitoring all complaints, so persons who find themselves in this situation should report the matter to the Ministry's Pay and Conditions of Employment branch, and there is an office in each parish. Over 20 pieces of legislation are to be amended to facilitate the implementation of flexible work arrangements. The amendments will specify that the work week should consist of 40 hours and that overtime is to be computed after the employee has completed 40 hours of work. That means for those opting for flexi week, overtime will not begin after an 8-hour workday, but only when you have worked beyond your 40-hour work week. The bill will also increase the number of hours in a workday from 8 or 10 hours to a maximum of 12 hours, reflect that all 7 days of the week should be considered as possible working days, and make it lawful for women to work at night.
Well, the organization would now not be restricted in opening hours. They'd have more freedom to choose the opening hours that would best suit their needs, so they can increase their productivity and also their profits. The individual will be able to more balance work life with family life, could choose the work arrangements which would best actually mesh with their family obligations, like picking up children. And also they could earn more because it would allow you to choose to work for different people to actually get more money. For the nation, of course, if the businesses are actually producing more, individuals are actually earning more, employment has increased, and it would swell well for the nation.
Persons can choose from a range of flexi work options. One option allows for working part-time hours and still earning benefits such as vacation and sick leave. Flexible time allows individuals and businesses to vary the start and end time of each workday. Persons can also telecommute, essentially working from a location other than the office, such as your home. And then there is the compressed work week. This is where you work your 40 hours over a 3 to 4 day period. But be careful not to fall below the threshold of 110 days worked to qualify for vacation leave entitlement.
A person who works for 3 days would have only worked for 156 days in the year. So they would still get vacation leave because they've passed the threshold of 110. But under the holidays with pay order, to obtain vacation leave of 2 weeks, you have to work under the statute for 220 days. So that gets you closer to somebody who works for 4 days for the week, for example.
And since all 7 days will be regarded as work days, what will pertain to working on public holidays?
The flexi work arrangements bill will not change any provisions we Public General holidays and the payment of overtime to those workers. Persons under minimum wage will still be entitled to double time for working on holidays and persons who work in shops. Other persons who are not minimum wage earners who don't work in shops, your contract will still govern how you are paid overtime, because that was always the case.
We are not about taking away people's rights. We are about trying to ensure that we organize work in such a way that Jamaica can be competitive.
And what we need to do is to ensure that we don't delay any further, so we can take full advantage of the opportunities being offered to us for growth, development, and prosperity.
So there is nothing to prevent any company today from looking at their operations, looking at their markets, and making a determination as to what is the best production fit for their business.
In the meantime, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security continues to invite national input with public forums and education campaigns.
Musicians, users of music instruments. If you're a registered member of the Jamaica Federation of Musicians or the Recording Industry of Jamaica, you may apply for a waiver of duty on the importation of music equipment. You'll need to submit the following: a letter of request to the Film Commission or Creative Industries Unit, and a pro forma invoice detailing the items being imported with corresponding serial numbers and costs. Jamaica Promotions Corporation JAMPRO will submit the documents to the Ministry of Finance for approval. You must get approval before the items arrive. For more information on the Music Tools of Trade incentive, click on the Tourism and Entertainment Ministry's website at mot.gov.jm or call the Ministry's Entertainment Division at 920-4926-30.
We're at the end of today's show, but be sure to join us again tomorrow as we explain some of the expenditure and revenue measures for the next fiscal year. That broadcast comes your way at the same time on the same station, Friday. Until then, keep the link. Stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. We welcome your feedback, so keep sending your comments to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JRS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Adrian Atkinson. Have yourselves a pleasant evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.